Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good evening. Okay, today we want to present this assignment uh, for the subject small craft technology. Okay, for the topic that we choose is the method of planning hull lamination, transverse framing construction. Okay, this is my team members, which is me, Muhammad Nakuddin bin Senan, Hamdan bin Ahmad, Rayas Anwar, Muhammad Afiq Izzat Ahmad Isman, and Muhammad Hidayat Helmi bin Muhammad Rozi. Okay, this is the about the presentation layout. For the first one, abstract through the project introduction, background, problem statement, procedures or process, and the last one is conclusion.
Okay, abstracts. Frame on ship are ribs that are bolted or welded transversely to the keel. Okay. The hull is supported by frame, which is it will give the ship more form and strength. Other than that, the transverse deck beam on the deck is placed supported by the clamp. Okay, with the overall number varies depending on the ship length, the frame number indicating your position in reference of the ship bow. The numbers grow as you go to the aft. Next.
Okay, next is the project introduction. Transverse farming is used to stiffen the bottom shell and side planting of the ship against the compressive force of the water. And then a transverse farming system which is often adopted for the ship experience serving racking stress and having dominance over sagging and hogging stress. Transverse farming interval of the ship is used to support the ship at the side and the bottom of the ship. Side and bottom transverse are used to support the longitudinal against compressive loading. Okay, next.
Okay, then we go to the background of the transverse construction. Okay, fiber reinforced polymers, FRP composite material with specific reference to have been extensively incorporated in boat construction when composite were designed to overcome corrosion issues with extra advantage of flexibility in the construction process and lightweight over steel and aluminium. Okay, next, the major component of the boat including the deck, consoles and stiffeners are molded from fiberglass. Structural reinforcement like stringers and bulkhead can be molded separately and then fiberglass to the part or may in some cases be laid up at the same time. Then the hull is still open and exposed. Item that will be located below deck level like fuel and water tank or inboard engine can be mounted. Okay, this is the example of fiberglass. Okay, for the transverse framing is a system which is often adopted for the ship experiencing severe racking stress and heavy dominance over sagging and hogging stress. The deck beams are used to supported by deck girders. Knees are used to connect beam to ship side frame. Okay, this is the example of the transverse. This picture. Okay, next.
Okay, next is the problem statement. Firstly, most of the transverse stiffeners contribute nothing to ship's resistance of longitudinal bending. Secondly, it was not optimal for structure efficiency achieving required strength for least weight. And lastly, vertical support for deck requires more closely spaced transverse bulkhead. Okay, this is the problem statement of this topic. Okay, next.
Okay, for the procedure, there are two types of procedure or process for transversely frame. The first one is single bottom. The plate force act as transverse stiffeners and their span are reduced by the use of intercostal side girders that run longitudinally. Most single bottom ships are provided with a bar keel that extend along the length of the ship up to a certain waterline at the stem. The bar is slightly protrude outside the outer bottom shell. The outer bottom shell planting just adjacent the bar keel is called garboard strake, and its thickness is more than the thickness of the remaining bottom shell. All the plate floors are flanked at their tops so as to increase their bending strength. Manholes are provided on the plate floors for crew access. These holes are flanked to so as to reduce stress concentration. Next is double bottom transversely frame. This is used in ship of length less than 120 meters. The bracket floor from the transverse stiffness at every frame and plate floors are used at every 3 or 4 frame space or 1.8 meter intervals. Similar to the single bottom, to reduce the span of the plates, intercostal side girders of keelson are used that run longitudinally. An important thing to note is that the side girders are continuous members. That is, where there is an intersection between a plate floor and a side girder, the plate floor is cut and welded on both sides of the girder and not the other way around. Flat plate keels are used in these structures. The keel plating thickness is a very important decision maker in the strength of the ship. This is to be calculated from the formula dedicated to this purpose provided by the relevant classification society. Intercostal girder or side girders and the plate floors will have lightning holes at regular intervals to reduce the structural weight and will have manhole to provide access. Drain hole will be provided on the plate floors to help drainage of liquid. Plate floors are future stiffened by plate bar and bracket floor by angle strut to prevent roping. Next.
Okay, for the conclusion, although the transfer framing was structurally sound and satisfactory in service, but most of transverse stiffener contribute nothing to the ship longitudinal bending resistance. Okay, as the result, it was not optimal for structural efficiency. And then usually ships within 70 meter built in accordance with transfer framing stiffening because there is less amount of weight to accommodate for the ship. That's all for our group. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.